All right, welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. I'm Brad. We are doing a unveiling of hockey cards. I've never done one of these before. My wife and I actually opened these up earlier, but we were so excited. We ended up, so for context, we live outside of Detroit, and so we're like, I want the hockey cards, but Tim Hortons doesn't have them in the United States. So if you didn't know this, if you're Canadian, you're watching this, we don't have hockey cards at Tim Hortons. So we had to go to Canada to get them. So we ended up going to Windsor. So we drove 45 minutes to go to the tunnel, paid our $750 US, it's a little more expensive, $750 US, and we went out and we bought 10 packs of cards. We got our ice caps. I got coconut milk ice caps. She got her almond milk. We got 10 packs of cards, and we're like, this is so much fun. We both opened 5 packs. And then I'm like, do you want to do another 10? Like, just for fun. Because, like, it was like a fun little trip. It was like a little day trip. And it's like on a Wednesday. So, might as well. So, just to let you know, is the 2024, 2025 collectible series. You can see they got Crosby on there, little French and everything. So, I'm just going to go through all the cards we got. So, there'd be 3 cards per pack. We got 20 packs. I'm going to run through all 60 cards. It's a pre-open and everything. So, you're not going to worry about those. But I'm going to give you little fun facts about each card that either are on the back or context of what I know about them. And so just kind of to show you. Oh, okay. So I'm a Red Wings fan, Detroit, right? So first off, Alex DeBrincat, Frozen, Hot Shots, So Alex DeBrincat was part of the Senators trade. And honestly, of course, you got Red Wings. This is my first one, of course. So Red Wings, I traded a first-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and Dominic Kubalik, as well as Donovan Zabrango, who was one of the prospects. His mom's very popular on Twitter. Go follow them. So Alex DeBrincat, you're a Detroit Red Wing. So moving on to the next one, we have Owen Power. Owen Power, first overall pick of the Buffalo Sabres. And so there you go, Buffalo Sabres. And so exciting, nice little hollow and everything too. He's going to be a great guy. He's going to be a great partner for Rasmus Dahlin. So then we have Robert Thomas. St. Louis Blues. And there we are, St. Louis Blues center. And he and Kyrou both signed an equal 8-year, I think it was 8-year deal or 7-year deal for like $8+ million. And with the St. Louis Blues. So that was great for them. It was very like Zach Parise and Suter type kind of deal, which was fun, So next we got Dylan Cousins. Dylan Cousins, he's got a lot of snot. He's a snarl. So he's actually a really good center on the I think to me he's going to come out to be more of like a 2C. But Dylan Cousins got a lot of snarl. This is also a True North Future card, I guess. These are special. Again, holographic. So it's just like fun. He had looks like he collected 7 points in 6 games during a streak. A little fun fact. So next up, we have Seth Jones. Seth Jones. Fun fact is everyone thinks either him or Darnell Nurse that are on the worst contracts in the league. Signed an 8-year deal, like $9 million. But of course, right before when the Chicago Blackhawks were trying to be good, that was seen as a bad deal. Now it is a bad deal, but on a team that is bad. So it's less of a concern. And also the cap is going up, so it's less of an issue. And we have Claude Giroux, but on it with the Senators instead. Again, another holographic card. But this is and of course, he went to the Senators, a very famous captain of the, he originally was traded from the Flyers to the Florida Panthers for like a second round, I think it was a first or second round pick, and then Owen Tippett. Spoiler alert, we got one. This is the Florida Panthers, and then in free agency, ended up signing with the Ottawa Senators. So that's like a fun little trivia one. Like an Otto Claude Giroux, great veteran and everything. So this is actually one of the first ones we actually pulled, which was so exciting, was a Leon Draisaitl holographic. So excited. We were so geeked about that. My wife, again, she's learning peak cards. And so basically what I'm doing with you is exactly what I do with her when we're opening the card. She'd open a pack and she's like, I got Robert Thomas. And I'm like, okay, this is person, da, 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 and I give him a bunch of information. So she does know Leon Draisaitl. She's very familiar with him. She knows him as like one of the best players in the league. It's very exciting because he did sign that 8-year, $14 million contract after giving, there's a great bargain over the last 8 years prior to this for $8.5 million. So, and then we have, this is a unique card. And I didn't know that until we started opening them up. because we got two versions of these cards. So this is called an Above the Ice card, and this is a Mason McTavish. His dad actually is a coach for the St. Louis Blues, and Mason McTavish plays a nice, rough game. He's tough. I think he's going to turn out to be a great player. And play with. I don't think he'll play with Ziegler, so I think he's traded, but I think he'll play great with Leon Carlson in the future. And then my wife picked out this one. She's like, "Oh, I got Cale Makar. He looks funny." I was like, "But he's like good, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, honey, he is the like overall best defenseman in the league right now." Comparisons to Bobby Orr and everything. Of course, Bobby Orr, they were in line in like points wise, and then Orr just like took off. So, but Cale Makar, of course, one of the best, honestly, Norris candidate for top 5 Norris candidate, which is the best defenseman in the league in the running at all times. So, next one, Dylan Strome was one of the last ones we picked as well. Holographic, which is cool. Dylan Strome, center for the one and only Ovi, grade 8. And of course, he signed like a $5 million year, $5 million, $5-ish million 5-year contract with them. I think it was a good pickup. Again, I like what the Washington Capitals are doing because they're trying to be good while they have Ovi. They're just trying to be good now, right? Unlike the Pittsburgh Penguins, who have Sidney Crosby and are just not trying to be good because they have so many old players that are locked up around them. So, Zach Benson. I was a little salty when my wife pulled Zach Benson and holographic as well. This is a in motion phenom. I was a little salty about Zach Benson because that's a person that I wanted the Red Wings to draft. They drafted Nate Danielson when Zach Benson was right there. But it does look like Zach Benson is going to be a great middle 6 guy, but it does look like that Nate Danielson could top out as like a top 6 guy, top 6 center as well. So you get a little more value there with a center because the centers can always move to the wing. Wingers can't move to the center. So, but a big fan of this. My wife was so excited to pull this last one right here. It's my favorite player outside of the all Red Wings players that is currently in the NHL. My favorite player was Eisman. My current favorite player on the Red Wings is Moritz Seider. Goes by Moritz Seider, Dylan Larkin, Raymond. But this is my favorite player outside of the Red Wings. And so former San Jose Shark as well as Ottawa Senator Erik Karlsson. So he is, of course, now with Pittsburgh Penguins, getting paid $10 million for the Penguins, and because there's a retained salary of $1.5 million for the rest of his contract by the San Jose Sharks in that massive deal, sending a first overall pick and a bunch of assets that Pittsburgh didn't want, such as like Mike Hoffman, Jan Ruda, Mikhail Granlund, and again a first round pick as well as some salary retention. I think they did okay on that one because you got some roster players that you can eventually trade, as well as a first round pick, and you only had to retain $1.5 million. It is for quite a while, but again, San Jose Sharks in a rebuild, so it's not a big deal. So, Sean Couturier, this guy famously was scratched by John Tortorella. So I was telling my wife this, Sean Couturier, captain, not in this picture, but he is captain of the Philadelphia Flyers and was famously scratched like 17 games into his captaincy by John Tortorella to send a message that, hey, I don't care if you're the captain, you need to perform, and you're not performing, I will scratch you, which I think I'm okay with. If it sends the message properly, there needs to be. Unfortunately, there wasn't communication with Sean Couturier and John Tortorella, according to Sean Couturier. There wasn't enough communication there. But if you need to send a message, that is one hell of a message, I'll tell you. I'm moving on to Bo Horvat. So Bo Horvat, this is a frozen hot shot, which we have another famous frozen hot shot. If you say that in French, it's virtuoso glace. So virtuose, which is shots, sur, which is hot, and glace. So shots, hot, frozen, ice, I imagine. I'm learning French. My wife and I learn French. So Bo Horvat is an Islander, but he used to be a Vancouver Canuck. And so what ended up happening is that the fun fact here is Vancouver Canucks traded Bo Horvat to the Islanders. They got back Atu Rati. I think it was like a 4th round pick and a 1st round pick, something along those lines. And then what the Vancouver Canucks did is they took that 1st round pick and a 4th round pick, traded it to the Red Wings for Filip Hronek. And the Red Wings went on to pick with that 17th overall pick, which is originally the Islanders, Axel Sandin Pellikka, who's looking like they're saying Erik Karlsson, but short. He's like five. He's very short. He's a very small defenseman. He's very speedy, and he's currently on his way to breaking, I think, the U19 or U20 scoring record in the SHL for defensemen, which is very exciting. So moving on to the next one, we have Tim Stützle. Tim Stützle was the second overall draft pick in the 2020 draft. Again, as a Red Wings fan, I wanted Red Wings to get Stützle. I think the German connection would be great for Sider. Of course, he did not fall to him because Red Wings had fourth overall pick that year. Should have had first, but they had fourth overall pick, and it's what it's looking like now that Lafreniere is starting to break out. Byfield is also starting to break out, but it is looking like Stützle will be the best player out of that draft, second to being Raymond currently. Again, it's just currently. Byfield is coming up behind there, as well as then Lafreniere. So the top four is still looking at the top four, just rearranged a little bit in a little bit different order. Moving on to one of the first packs my wife actually picked was a Demko over the ice. So we didn't know over ice, above the ice was a big thing. And here he is looking good, and it's black. And so she was actually like, oh, I got Demko. Look at this. I'm like, he's good. I'm like, he's very good. He's very injured right now. He'll probably have an injury for the rest of his life, and he's currently not playing on the Vancouver Canucks. But he's a very good goalie. Luckily, they have Arthur Silovs, who played very well in the playoffs. But again, he's like a no-name goalie that performed well, a.k.a. Jordan Binnington, who was a no-name goalie, was supposed to be sent to the ECHL. He said no. Eventually, they had enough goalies they needed to bring him. They brought him up. He won them the Stanley Cup, basically, going from like 31st and then winning the Stanley Cup. So can happen to anybody, you know. Then we got another Leon Draisaitl. So this is the one we ended up pulling up, right? Another Leon Draisaitl. Give you a fun fact: $14 million a year for 8 years, and he is Connor McDavid's like best friend, basically. And maybe the reason that Connor McDavid is going to re-sign with the Oilers, we'll see. I'm skeptical, but I think he's going to. I think he wouldn't have signed that contract unless he thought McDavid would be staying around. Crystal Tang, my wife goes, who is this? I said, this is one of the best defensemen of the Penguins history ever. Won 3 Stanley Cups with them. And he is basically Erik Karlsson. Again, I don't know why. I like that San Jose got rid of Pittsburgh or Erik Karlsson. I don't know why Pittsburgh picked him up, because you have a Crystal Tang. What are you doing? So you have a guy already. I don't know why you pick up this, because it doesn't make sense to me. You already have a guy like that. So let's see. Are we halfway through yet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We are not halfway through. We are only six. We're only 6 decks in. So let's split these up. We do have to eventually take an ad break. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 right there. So we have 10 packs. We'll do 10 now. We'll do a little ad break. I got better help up there. Dang, I got to change that. So we'll just change it right now. Why not? Get rid of it and change it. And we're back. And again, we're game time instead. So, all right, we got to talk about Robert Thomas already. Again, Kyrou and him signing the same deal. Again, I think it's super cool. I think when you guys get guys like that you want to lock up long term and doing them like tandem like that. I thought they were going to do that with Raymond and Sider, which I thought would be really cool. You saw this with like Scheifele and Hellebuck out in Winnipeg. But the Blues did it. I think the Blues, that's a good idea, because Blues are trying to basically going to be building out like the Carolina Hurricanes. No superstars, just like a lot of stars, and try and do what they did back in 2018. So 2019. 2018 was the Washington Capitals. So she goes, I got Nick Suzuki. This is the one that my wife pulled, and I'm like, oh, that is the captain of the Montreal Canadiens. And we were in Windsor, so we were in Canada. So we were like, okay, hey, you have to say it Canadiens, right? Because they're fancy. And it's so fun, and it's also a true North future, and I like that. So Nick Suzuki actually was originally not a Montreal Canadian. He was actually drafted by the Vegas Golden Knights, one of their first picks, I believe. It was one of their first round picks. Traded for, I don't remember the details of it, but he was traded for Max Pacioretty, captain of the Montreal Canadiens. Then went to Vegas. And so it's like, that's cool. Like it's like a cool, like you trade a captain and then the person you traded for eventually becomes captain. So it's like a fun little neat anything like that. So this is another one that my wife pulled. This is Thatcher Demko. Like I told you before, she got a tooth Thatcher Demko. Again, it's a holograph, so that's cool. A little fuzzy, but yeah, so she got Thatcher Demko, which is exciting. And again, Thatcher Demko injured right now, drafted by them as well. Let's see, anything fun with here on the back? He didn't have a great last year, 22, 20, this is a 22-23 stats on here. So on this one, he didn't have that great of a year, 22-23, 3.16 goals against and a .901 save percentage, but he has an average save percentage of 2.91 save percentage on average for his career. So he's doing all right. He's doing all right, which is like fairly a little above, slightly above average. I think the average right now in goaltending is like 0.907. So he's doing average right now. She goes, I got like, this is another one my wife told. She goes, I have like Kyle Connor. And I was like, oh, dude, that is a great player. That's a player that everything's on. She goes, oh, he's from Shelby Township. My wife's from around that area. I was like, this is a guy who does not have a new contract with the Winnipeg Jets, and this is someone that the Red Wings would love to get because he is a shooter. He has had 40-goal seasons. I don't know if he's had multiple. I know he's had at least one. But this is a guy that they definitely would want, the Red Wings. Of course, Winnipeg would want to keep them because they're trying to be good still. So, but you would sign those 8-year contracts to Scheifele and Hellebuck. They're going to want to be good, so they're probably going to try to keep their good players, and I'm sure Connor's going to be one of them. So I would love the Red Wings to trade for him. Jake Sanderson, so funny. If you listen to the Steve Dangle podcast, Adam Wilde has this thing about Jake Sanderson. His contract, $8 million a year or 8 years. Senators fans, it feels like they think he's the second coming of Christ. But he was good. I think he's a 5th overall pick. And they highly coveted him. And I'm happy for them. Like I want teams to have good players. It's just so it cracks me up how much you get obsessed with your teams, get obsessed with the players. Again, Red Wings fans are obsessed with Moritz Seider, but again, he won the Calder, so it's a little bit different. But Jake Sanderson has had some decent seasons so far. And I just watched him score a goal the other day. Just hit it from the point, which is great. I mean, let's be honest. They had that win against LA. It was 8-7. I'm just gonna assume he scored because everyone was scoring, right? So talk about the other part of that Claude Giroux trade to the Florida Panthers. You have Owen Tippett. So this is one of the favorite redheads. They ended up re-signing him, I think, for like a 4 or 5 year deal, which is good confidence because he wasn't really working out in Florida. So it was like a good first round pick asset that the Flyers wanted because the Flyers were going through a rebuild, right? They pulled on Ristolainen, but they did trade Claude Giroux. And again, he's working out really well with the organization, and I'm really happy for him. So if you're looking at 22-23 with the Flyers, 49 points in 77 games. And you can even see between Florida and Philadelphia the year prior, he had 21 points in 63 games. So he went from a point every 3 games to a point every 2 games. So not even a lot more than that. He's getting 2 points every 3 games. So he essentially doubled his production from going from the Panthers to the Flyers. So I think that's awesome. Again, you want guys to perform. You want guys to do well, not only because you want a team to do well, but you want them to do well because you want people to do well. I'm not like, hey man, I really hope you're bad at your job. No one talks like that. But it is like a fun, it is cool to see players be good at their job, right? I did see this player on the back because this is the 3rd card she had open of one that she got. My wife did, and this is one of the greatest goalies in the world, Andre Vasilevsky, hologram as well. He's Andre Vasilevsky. What more can you say? One of the best goalies in the league. Looking at his stats right now, just on the past 5 seasons of what he's gotten, 9 seasons. 9 seasons, he's got averages a .919 save percentage and a 2.52 goals against average. He's had 32 shutouts in 9 seasons. That's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. He had 6 shutouts in the 18-19 season. That's just wild. I love that. Andre Vasilevsky, one of the GOATs in goaltending. So another specialty card on above the ice one. Another Florida player we have, Alex Barkov. Again, Stanley Cup winning captain. And so I think he's the first. Where's he from again? I forget where he's from. I think it's It's not Czech, is it? It's anyways, everywhere he's from, but yeah, he's Florida helped Florida win their first Stanley Cup ever in 30 plus years. And honestly, it cracks me up because everyone's like, who's the most underrated player in the league? Players are talking about this too. And they keep saying this. They keep saying it's Barkov. Barkov is the most underrated player in the league. And after a certain point, after a certain number of years, if players keep saying he's the most underrated player in the league, he's no longer the most underrated player in the league because everyone knows about him. So, but it's very cool to have him and then above a nice one as well. Perennial, I told my wife this one too. Perennial Norris candidate, again, another top 5, top 7, honestly. Always in the running is Adam Fox. So New York Rangers, Calgary Flames legend. I think what ended up happening is he was drafted, if I remember correctly, he was drafted by the Calgary Flames and then traded to Carolina. Didn't want to sign with Carolina. Oh, his rights were traded to Carolina. Didn't want to sign with Carolina. Wanted to sign to New York. New York goes, he gets traded to New York, I believe, and then he signs in New York. So that really worked out well because he got to do what he wanted. He's from New York as well, so he wins. He gets to do it. Puts up a ton of points too. In 21-22, 74 points in 78 games. In 22-23, 72 points in 82 games. Again, I forget which one of the years, but he did win. He's won the Norris already. That's how good he is. He's already won the Norris, and he's born in, when is he? 1998. So he's 26. So yeah, crazy that he wins the Norris that early. Good for him. That's amazing. So already talked about this, but we do have Claude Giroux, again, part of that for the trade, and now working with the Senators. Again, Flyers legend. Supposedly, I think he's actually from Ottawa as well. I think he just loves Ottawa. He's from Ontario, Hearst, Ontario. Again, I'm not from Ontario, so I wouldn't know that. But he does have in his 16 NHL seasons over 1,000 points and over 1,100 games played. That's awesome, and he's got a plus minus that's above 0, just with 38. So, and it's really like to see from a captain as well because he's that good. My wife is really excited about this one because I talk about this family a lot. And it is the Hughes family. And she's like, oh, we got a Hughes. She's like, I got one of the Hughes brothers. And I'm like, yep, that is Luke Hughes, the younger brother. And supposedly what Quinn, she also knows Quinn is like depressive because he looks like he's having the worst time ever. He's always like, has the bags under his eyes. And I feel so bad for the kid. He looks like he's just dredging through life. But he is a phenomenal captain for the Vancouver Canucks. But his brother, Jack Hughes, not this player. Jack Hughes is an assistant captain for the New Jersey Devils, and his brother is now playing. He's actually currently not playing. He's currently injured. He had a sling in his arm at a U of M game. But Luke Hughes, supposedly, according to both Quinn and Jack, he is the best of the brothers. So I'm excited to see how he flourishes and everything as well. I think he's also the tallest too. They don't have it on the back here, but he is supposedly the best of them all. He's also drafted second highest. So Jack Hughes was first overall. Luke Hughes was fourth overall. And Quinn Hughes was 8th overall. So good pick. Thanks, Son. And then lastly, before we take a break, we have Zach Werenski. So Zach Werenski perennially hurt on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Assistant captain. To me, he will be the next captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets when Boone Jenner is no longer captain. And the fun fact about him was he was Dylan Larkin's roommate in college, which is fun. It's like a fun stat. Like, you get like a just like a little fun stat. So and that was at University of Michigan, and I would love for him to come back to Michigan and everything. But again, I don't think it's gonna happen because he's set with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I understand that they draft you and everything, but I would love to see Zach Werenski come to the Red Wings. So we'll see if he ends up doing that. I doubt it, but we will see. And like I said, I can cross my fingers. So, anyways, we'll take a break, hit up Game Time and DraftKings, and then we'll come back and we'll get right back into it. And we have 10 more packs, so stick around. Also hit like, subscribe, and put your favorite emoji downtown in the comment box downtown. Yo. Anyways, so let's jump into some advertisements. This show is sponsored by Game Time. Honestly, when I'm looking to go to games, actually there's a Red Wings game coming up, and if there's one Thursday, and we're actually looking at potentially going to it. And if I'm going to buy tickets, it's going to be through Game Time. Game Time is one of the best apps out there. You get lowest price guaranteed in Game Time, or Game Time will actually credit 110% of the difference that you are spending at other places that you're getting tickets. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, all-in pricing as well, a toggle feature that shows the total up front with no surprise fees. And honestly, the surprise fees is infuriating because you're like, oh, this ticket is $20. Like, no, it's $25. Or, this ticket's $70. It's $100, right? These surprise fees, it's so frustrating, but it allows you to filter out the fluff and show you incredible deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and redeem the code THPN for 20% off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Also, we are also sponsored by DraftKings. TD Tutty in for 6. Touchdowns matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports partner of the NFL. And we don't care how you score them. We want to bet on touchdown, and DraftKings Sports is delivering. Ready to place your first bet? Try bet on something simple like a player to score a touchdown. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. And honestly, I'm a Lions fan, so we're watching that. Look at you. How tasty was that game against the Dallas Cowboys this past weekend? If you put some money on some touchdowns, you would have made some bank, honestly, and you could have picked the money line. You would have gone way over at it. So, of course, lines and odds are subject to change. But ready to do touchdown dance of your own. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one place to bet touchdowns. Download the Sportsbook app and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Play responsibly on behalf of Boo Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/TFTball /FTball. All right, moving on to our goodness gracious. That was the last one I struggled through. So we're moving on to the next packs. So again, we have 10 more packs left. So if you're rocking through me, I appreciate it. Again, hit like, subscribe, put your favorite emoji down there. I appreciate it. Love you guys. So anyways, moving on. We do have another duplicate. We do have Alex DeBrincat, the hot ice one that I tried speaking French and I sucked at it. Honestly, and what the nice thing about Alex DeBrincat is he is a goal scorer, but he has scored 40 goals twice. That was both with the Chicago Blackhawks. He didn't perform as well with the Senators. That's okay. He's started to perform better with the Red Wings, and he's looking at more assists and everything too, which is interesting that his game is more goal focused, but he is doing a lot more assists with the Red Wings. And he actually recorded his 400th point on December 18th, 2023 with the Wings. Look at that. That's a fun fact there as well. Not bad for a duplicate, right? Okay, and then we have in this picture, he is the captain, but the former captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Jean Chavares. If you are up to date, if you're watching this right now, you're on Twitter, you might have heard the same amulet that Trump is putting out. John Chavares also pushed, or no, not Trump, Russell Brand. This is just interesting. This is a fun fact. The same amulet that deflects Wi-Fi connections and stuff like that is the same one that Russell Brand's putting out that John Tavares also pushes out. So that is a fun fact. That is just a fun fact. That is not political. It is just a fun fact. Isn't this fun? Are we having fun? Is that a fun fact for you? Again, former captain. Again, great player though. He's had over 1,000 points and 1,000 games. So good for Johnny T. And we'll see if he ends up signing with. Let me know down below. Does he re-sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs? And if so, how much and for how long? So, we got another duplicate, Alex Barkov, and again, he is I think this is a different version though. We had the other one. I think it was over ice version. Again, captain. Where is he from? Finland. Finnish. I think he's one of the first. I think he's the first Finnish captain to take a team to the Stanley Cup. That's what it is. I'm very sure on that. So that's cool. That is, I knew I couldn't think of it. I was like, well, it's not Czech because Jager's Czech, so that wouldn't be the first one there. He's not Swedish. He's not United. I knew he's European. I was like, why couldn't I think of it? Finland, of course, Finland. How could I not think of that? Of course, so many Finns in Florida. I think there's like Lucianainen, and I think that's all I can think of. Only ones I can think about have a ton of Finnish players is like Carolina and Dallas Stars. And speaking of the Dallas Stars, one of my favorite cards, actually, I think this is one of the first ones I pulled out, actually, and one of my favorite goalies in the league. It is Mr. Jake Ottinger. So, again, a favorite. Get the thing to focus on it. So Jake Ottinger. Ooh, hello. Look at that baby. And so excited about him. I think I big fan of him. He's in his 3 seasons. This is according to this card, and at this point, in 3 seasons, he had .916 save percentage and a 2.42 goals against average. That's awesome. That's awesome. He's at seven shutouts so far. It's very interesting. So originally, this is the fun fact too. Originally, the Dallas Stars were not started in Dallas. They were actually the Minnesota North Stars. And so what's cool about this is that the Minnesota North Stars, for some reason, something happened, and they end up moving to Dallas and become the Dallas Stars, which is why they call it the Dallas Stars now. So the North Stars. And so what happened with this is that let me pull the card up. The Dallas Stars. The cool thing is that he's from Minnesota, and which is kind of fun that like the team that originally was from Minnesota, he's now playing for and drafted by them. Again, I would say it's less of a coincidence because what happens is that most players come out of Minnesota. So most players come out of in the States, most players come out of Minnesota. Second most come out of Michigan, which is your boy's from. So moving on, this is actually one of my first packs that I pulled. And we got Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel, originally recently seen at a certain rally in his suit and everything. But Jack Eichel was not originally a Vegas Golden Knight. He was actually a Buffalo Sabre. And he was drafted second overall right behind Connor McDavid. And there was that draft was called the Eichel draft because it's like they knew they were going 1 and 2. We just didn't know which one that Edmonton was going to choose, and they clearly picked right with McDavid. Nothing against Eichel, but McDavid is clearly the best player in the world. So they're very happy with that. So originally Eichel wanted to have a surgery on his neck, a disc replacement surgery on his neck, and that was possible. It had never been done on an NHL player before, but the ownership, because they're like, hey, we pay you $10 million a year. You're going to do what we say. We pay you $10 million a year. You're our asset. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to fuse my vertebrae, which is they want to do. They wanted to fuse the vertebrae. He's like, I want disc replacement instead. It's my body, my choice, ironically. And so which I agree with. Your body, you want to do your body, you want to have surgery on your body, you should be able to choose what you want to do. And the biggest caveat is that if he got the disc replacement and it doesn't work, he can always go to the fuse. So it was like, hey, like, let's go with it. Let's try the disc replacement. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then it's fine. Like I can get the fuse later. So it was kind of like a win-win situation. So anyways, they wouldn't let him do it. They traded him to Vegas for Peyton Krebs, Alex Tuch, a first round pick, and I think it was like a fourth round pick or something like that. Just an extra throw in there. And I think he almost won the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is the MVP for the playoffs. When Vegas ended up winning the playoffs. So he was right behind Jonathan Marchessault. Ironically, Vegas keeps Eichel and not Marchessault, even though Marchessault won the Conn Smythe. Very interesting. Again, I think they're really happy with Eichel. So, and it's working out really well with them. They won the Stanley Cup. So within 6 years, and it's frustrating that Vegas did that. Good for Vegas fans. It's very frustrating. So, again, this is one of the first packs I picked up. This is actually the first card that I pulled out. And these are all backwards. The first card I picked up, and it was not Ottinger. Ottinger was in the first pack, but he was not the first card. First card I picked, defenseman stalwart is Evan Bouchard. So Evan Bouchard, not a defensive dynamo. He is an offensive dynamo. One of the big reasons that the Oilers did so well in the playoffs. He put up a ton of points. He's a good defenseman. He's going to get paid a ton of money because he's played really well. And it's really interesting because they had to pay him. They had to pay Draisaitl. They had to pay Bouchard. They had to pay McDavid. And this team's going to start looking like Toronto with all these guys are paying in the eight figures, right? So we'll see. I mean, I'm really curious. I don't think I got one Toronto Maple Leafs. Now that I think about it, that's crazy. I'm surprised I didn't get a Toronto Maple Leaf. But I did get a superstar in here. I mean, I've got several superstars, but I think I got another one. So I was very excited to get. My wife was very excited. Yeah, of course I got a superstar. I got Leon Draisaitl, of course. We got another one. We got here Mats Zuccarello. Not Matt. Mats Zuccarello. He is a player. I mean, he's a good player. He's an older player at this point. He is more. I mean, he's not a huge production. So he is 37 now. 766 games at the time of this card. 570 points. A good player. 5'8", 181 pounds. So he's definitely had to work really hard for his spots in the ice. But to me, I mean, I don't know a ton about Matt Zuccarello, so I don't really have much to say on him because, unfortunately, the Minnesota Wild have not been that relevant because that's just their brand right now. They're not really relevant, and that's okay. It's just where they're at right now with the Zach Parise and Ryan Suter buyouts. I had to think about that for a second. So, but they're about to be relevant. They signed what's his face? Not Brody. They have Brody. They have what can I think of his name? Glasses. Bold. Not they have Brody. They have Bold. They do have a Brody. They do have a Brody. They have a Boldy as well. With a young guy. I think he got a 7x7, I believe. Something that Cole Caulfield got. Brock Faber. That's who it is. Brock Faber got 8 years, $8.5 million per year. And he has only had 1 year, only one season. But he took over that Jared Spurgeon role of the Minnesota Wild last year, and he played phenomenally. Honestly, he's probably. I know everyone likes Kaprizov, but Brock Faber's my favorite Wild right now. I also like John Merrill, but that's because he does a lot of fun stuff outside of hockey. So this is a pure gold one. And I asked my wife. So my wife and I went to the Red Wings draft and watched them do the draft at the Little Caesars Arena. So we were in the arena and they watched the draft on the Jumbotron. And my wife pulls this card. This is a pure gold card. It is Mr. Shane Wright. Let's see if it zooms in on it. Shane Wright. There you go. Kind of. Okay. Shane Wright. I was like, do you know who this is? She's like, no, I don't know who this is. I said, this Shane Wright is a guy that I said was based on what I was reading on Twitter and everything that he was not going to go first overall. Was Yaroslav Slavkovsky. And then what ended up happening, and this is such a fun story to tell. So there's a guy, and this is a little longer story, but my wife and I were at the draft, and the guy's like, we're kind of just like hassling him. I'm like, I don't know. I've heard that Slavkovsky's going to go and not Shane Wright. And the guy's like, no, Shane Wright's going to go. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't think so. I think Montreal's kind of in a rebuild, so they can have a little more time to have a guy like Slavkovsky take his time and everything. Shane Wright looks like he's a little more NHL ready, but he's a lower ceiling. So they ended up passing on Shane Wright. And then the guy goes, oh, no, dude. New Jersey's going to take him second. Or no, Arizona. Arizona's going to take him second. I said, no, Arizona doesn't want Shane Wright. They don't want someone who's NHL ready. They want someone who's a higher ceiling, who's going to work out long-term, a bigger risk, but a higher reward. They're going to pick Logan Cooley. He's like, dude, they're not picking Logan Cooley. Screw you, dude. And I was like, oh, so whoever went, if they pick Shane Wright, I'll finish my beer. They pick Logan Cooley, you finish your beer. And we both had 2 beers, by the way. And he's like, all right. So, of course, they pick Logan, Arizona Coyotes pick Logan Cooley. I was like, he's like, oh, no, dude. He's definitely going third overall. He's like, dude, he's not going third overall. New Jersey Devils are picking. Why would New Jersey Devils pick a center? They have Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier. They're not going to pick a third overall pick and pick a center. It doesn't make sense. So he's like, no, they're picking out. I'm like, dude, okay, same thing. You finish your beer. If I'm right, I'm finishing my beer. I was right. And I said they picked Simon Nemec because it was going to be Simashev or I think it was Simashev. Dimitri Simashev or Nemec. And I said, I bet you can be Nemec though instead. And they picked Nemec. And I said, and it was Seattle Kraken. And I said, I think Seattle Kraken doesn't have anyone yet. They don't think they had Matty Beniers. They did have Matty Beniers. I said, they only have Matty Beniers. They don't have very much center depth. I think they do pick Shane Wright. And they did. So Shane Wright, you are a Seattle Kraken. And he has now got a full-time position on the team, which is cool. He's graduated from the AHL. And I'm excited for him to start to break out. Okay. So he had actually 2 goals. Yeah. So that was like a fun That's a fun little story. I like that story. It's a ton of fun because I just like I know enough about hockey that I like to talk with people. Like I just went to Vegas this past weekend and I ended up talking to a guy who's around all Pittsburgh stuff. And I ended up talking to him about Pittsburgh and everything. He's like, "Oh, you know a lot about hockey." I said, "Yeah, I run a hockey YouTube channel." So as you're watching, so we got Mackenzie Weegar of the Calgary Flames, but previously of the Florida Panthers, and he was actually part of the Matthew Tkachuk trade, where Calgary sends a Matthew Tkachuk in a 4th round pick for Cole Swint, Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, and a 1st round pick to Calgary. Big trade. I mean, and it ended up working out. I mean, it's working out less well for Calgary because of the Huberdeau contract. Weegar is still looking good, but I think they might end up trading him because he's got a long contract, but it's a pretty reasonable number. And they got a 1st round pick out of it. So, but Florida obviously wins because they get the player that helps get them to the Stanley Cup Finals, and win the Stanley Cup Finals twice and win the Stanley Cup 1 time. So let's be honest, Florida wins. So again, we speak about the 2020 draft before. We did talk about one guy that we pulled was Tim Stützle, but we did not talk about that. We talked a little bit about the 3rd overall pick, and the 3rd overall pick was Quinton Byfield. So a LA King, one of the LA Kings first round draft picks that seems to actually be working out. They're having a little bit tough time with Alex Turcotte and Arthur Kaliyev, but this one is working out really well. And according to this one, at his first 3 seasons in the NHL, he had 99 games, 33 points, and really struggled to really break out in his first couple of years. Again, in his 3rd year, he had 53 games, 19 points, not looking that great. But this past year, he had I think he had 60-plus points, ended up signing a $6.5 million deal-ish. I think it's around there. Average annual value per year for 5 years, which is really the interesting part of that is that he signed up for 5 years, which actually takes him to UFA, which is a risky thing for LA because it does not mean that means they do not have his rights under control and they cannot have a guarantee that they're going to be able to re-sign him. But they do keep him for that 5 years. So this is, in my opinion, where LA thinks that this is their window where they can try and win and hopefully convince him that he wants to stay. So move on to the next one. Owen Power. Owen Power was a 1st overall draft pick in 2021. Yes. 21? Let's see. Was it? It's Lafreniere, Slavkovsky, Power. Yeah, I think that was it. Let's check it out. NHL 1st overall picks. Let's see who they are. Yeah, 2021. Yeah, I was right. So, so Lafreniere, then Owen Power, then Slavkovsky, then Bedard, and then who? Macklin celebrating this past year too. So Owen Power, 1st overall draft pick. Buffalo just doing really well on the 1st overall draft picks, getting 2 elite defensemen in Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power. I think he's going to work out to be a really great player. I think he's underrated in my opinion. And this is very interesting that this is a he cracks me up. This is a true North future. North, yes, because it's Buffalo, but it's not Canada. And the true North is usually the true North is usually considered Canada. It's just funny that it cracks me up that they have this guy on here. I don't think he's from Canada either. Owen Power, is he originally from? Yeah, I don't think so. Had 3 points in a victory over Vegas. I mean, that's 3 points is not too shabby over here. So, but yeah, again, I don't think he. I don't think that he. I mean, he's gonna. They have a great lineup for defensemen on Buffalo because they're gonna have Bowen Byram. They're gonna have Rasmus Dahlin. They're gonna have Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, Byram. I mean, they got a lot of great talent there. And again, right now they're not looking that good. They have 1 game, 1 out of 4. So they're not looking that great yet, but it's starting. If there's pieces there. Again, they also have Benson. Their forward depth. They did trade out McLeod. They traded for McLeod. They moved off of. Oh, I can't think of his name. But anyways, it's interesting. But again, Owen Power for several draft pick. Then we have Winnipeg Jets. Josh Morrissey was actually in contention for the Norris, I believe. I think he was a Norris finalist. And the reason is because he traditionally, and this is showing the last 5 years, he had 25 points, 26 points, 17 points, 25 points, and then he goes to 60 points. He over doubles his last 4 years. Like he almost like he almost won 1.5 sit in 78 games. So came out of nowhere, was definitely looking really good. And I think he ended up re-signing with the Winnipeg Jets. So good for the Jets. Oh, this is one of the ones that my wife pulled, and I was so excited for my wife. So what I ended up doing is I ended up like giving my wife, I was like, here, pull the bottom card. And what I ended up showing her is one and only, the great Connor McDavid. So of course, a True North future. I guess I don't know. Is he a future at this point because he's old enough? Connor McDavid. He's had 6 career 100-point seasons with the Oilers so far. Just stupid. And actually, since entering the 2024 campaign, he actually has 7 now because he had 150 points last year. Stupid. Oh, dude, so stupid. I mean, it's Connor McDavid. There's no fun fact that you need to know about him. But I can tell you, they're on a losing streak to start the year. I think they're 0-3. That's a fun fact. If you're not an Oilers fan, that's a fun fact. Sean Couturier, we already had him earlier. Again, captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. Good. Again, fun. They were scratched by Tortorella. So again, we have Rasmus Dahlin. I think we talked about him as well. First round. No, we have not talked about him yet. I think I wanted to talk about him. I mentioned him in a couple of players. Because I think I mentioned Zach Benson as well. So again, good first round pick for the Buffalo Sabres. Zach Benson. Bitter. Not at all. Again, I'm fortunate. We're very fortunate that with Danielson, he's working out really well. I'm happy with that. Rasmus Dahlin, first overall draft pick in the which one was he again? Because he was first overall 2018. That's what it was. Okay, for Jack Hughes. So offensive dynamo in 22-23 had 73 points in 78 games, almost a point per game player, which is crazy. I think that should have put him up with like Norris contention, but like I think that was the year that Erik Karlsson won though. So with like 100 points. So he was close, but like 25 more than 25 points back. So Erik Karlsson wins that one, unfortunately. So, but Rasmus Dahlin, captain, again, going to be a great player. He's actually one of my favorite Swedes. He's my favorite player on the Buffalo Sabres. And I will do a future video of all my favorite players. One of my favorite player on each team. And it doesn't have to be from the team. It doesn't have to be like, hey, they drafted him and everything, but it's my favorite player on the team. So we have Chicago Blackhawk, Philip Kurashev. My wife is very bitter about the Chicago Blackhawks, understandably so, because they hit a sexual scandal. That's a fun fact. Philip Kurashev. So my wife did say the fun fact is my wife said just you can throw the card away. I said it's not this player's fault. He's like, no, it's Chicago's fault. But Philip Kurashev, I think he's going to work out really well. Only 39 points in 191 games. Again, he's a center, but he's not going to be first line center because you know who's first line center? Connor Bedard. So fun fact is he will be perennially at most second line center. But I think he's a good player. He's played it so far. I think I've watched a couple of Chicago games. He's played well as well. This is my favorite Finn. Everyone likes Barkov, but Dallas is one of my favorite teams. My third favorite team. I goes Red Wings, San Jose, then Dallas, and then there's like Toronto and Buffalo, and there's a couple of Columbus's in there, Flyers as well. But my main 3 teams are Red Wings, Dallas, and San Jose, and then it works out because the 2 second and third team are both in the Western Conference, so they don't top my first favorite team. But we have Miro Heiskanen, and this is a pure gold card too. Hard to see. Pure gold card. You can focus? Nope. Okay, anyways, that's all right. Miro Heiskanen. Let's see. There's the fun fact about him. He's my favorite player, one of my favorite players on the Dallas Stars. The fun fact is my favorite player actually. So okay, I really like the Stars. My favorite player was always Tyler Seguin. I thought he was so cool. I was so cool, man. I was like Jamie Benn until he started doing the dirty stuff to like Larkin and everything and knocking him out for the season. So Jamie Benn is off there now. Tyler Seguin's my favorite. Old guard. My mid guard would be Miro Heiskanen. My new guard is Jason Robertson and Logan Stegeman and Wyatt Johnson. I mean, honestly, there's just so many good players. But my favorite player is, for my wife and I, is Jason Robertson. Our collective player is Jason Robertson. So much so that when I went to visit my brothers out in Austin, we went to a Texas Stars game, and it's around Christmas time. And as a gift, my wife got me a Jason Robertson jersey, authentic, not just a Fanatics. It was like the real jersey they wear in games. It was very nice. It was very exciting. And I'm very fortunate to have a great wife to be able to do that because I'm trying to collect one jersey from every team. So yeah, I love it. I was a big fan of it. So we have next one. We have Ilya Sorokin signs an 8-year deal at like 8.5 somewhere on there with the Islanders. With a nice hollow or holographic. So in the last 3 seasons, no way, he's not that young. He's so young. Oh, he's 5 years younger than me. He's 29. I guess he's not that young. In the last 3 seasons, he had no way, he had 16 shutouts. Get out of here. Yeah. In last 3 years, or in his NHL season, in 3 seasons, he had 16 shutouts. That's amazing. That's awesome. That's really good. He's averaging a .924 and a 2.34 up until the 22-23 season. That's amazing. That's a fun stat. I gave you the contract. But that's a really fun stat. That is way cool. I'm more impressed with that. He did have a bad year last year in the playoffs. Going up to the playoffs, such that Varlamov, his backup goalie, one of his best buddies, ended up having to start instead of Sorokin, who had that massive contract, who had earned the massive contract. So we'll see if he bounces back. I assume he will. Goalies are voodoo. It's just they go in waves, man. Again, we have Josh Morrissey. We already talked about him. Another fun fact about Winnipeg is they traded Rucker McGroarty for Brandon Yeager. They're both for 14th overall picks. It was the 2020. Rucker McGroarty was 2022. Braden Yeager was 2023. Again, both 14th overall picks. Rucker McGroarty requested a trade from the Winnipeg Jets because they would not play him on an NHL team. They could not guarantee an NHL spot. They trade the 14th overall picks. Braden Yeager goes to Winnipeg. Penguins have Braden Yeager, Rucker McGroarty, and it's so funny because it's funny because he goes Penguins, think he's gonna have an NHL job. Again, there's more opportunity. I would say there's more opportunity to Penguins because there's less good guys now. They need to develop some young talent, and they want young guys in the team. Just today, the Penguins send him down to the AHL. And I'm sure he's pissed, and he probably is going to. Someone joked that he requested a trade. I don't think he's going to, but it's very interesting. I imagine it's just, hey, get your bearings together, kid. Take a second, take a breather, regroup, and we'll call you back up. Absolutely, it's not a big deal. So, I was very excited about this one. Because it is an Arizona Coyote. It is Mr. Clayton Keller, who is not the captain of the Phoenix Coyote or the Arizona Coyotes. Arizona Coyotes. But what he is the captain of is the Utah Hockey Club. He's the first captain of the Utah Hockey Club. This player he's so good. And it's so cool to get an Arizona card, by the way. Like now that like in this time where this is the first season you have the Utah Hockey Club. So it was super cool to get Arizona. Because the Kachina, that symbol and everything, that Kachina is sick. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. The Kachina is sick, man. Again, this is my first. If I didn't mention before, this is my first unveiling of stuff. So I don't have a camera that sits up top like the other ones do. I'm having fun with this. So David Pastrnak, and my wife goes, pasta, and I go, yeah. David Pastrnak and William. So David Pastrnak plays for the Boston Bruins. He and William Nylander are very good buddies. They played together in the European leagues, in the European leagues. European or juniors. Anyways, they played together when they were younger. They're very good friends, play on rival teams, play each other all the time in the playoffs, and Boston always wins. And they were both in the first episode of the NHL's Face Off on Amazon Prime. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. I want to do a review after every episode. So I've seen the second episode out of the 6, but I want to do like a, hey, watch it, and then give it a review. But I have not gotten to all of them because that's what I was trying to do. But I might just watch them through anyways and give you a full review at the end of it. This is a fun one. This is actually my last pack that I picked up. But I still have 2 more left. And I have one pretty sick card too. This is the second one of these cards that I got. It is a holographic. So you can see it's Colt Braco holding up a face that they got back in 1999 with Tibbetts. And he switched to him actually out 2024 in the NHL. That is so cool to me. That's such a cool card. I mean, it's so much fun. And it is half in English, half in it's in so you can see actually on the back of this card, it is the first part is him back when he was in 1999. The other one was he was in 2024, and it says in 1999 he was 6 years old. He weighed 55 pounds. He was 4 foot, and then it tells you where he's from and everything. He says his team was the St. Albert Icebreakers, and then his league was St. Albert Minor Hockey Association, and he played forward. And now at 30 years old, 2024, he's 228 pounds, 6'6". Holy smokes, what a growth spurt! Plays for St. Louis Blues, NHL, plays in the NHL, and instead of playing forward, he does play defense. So that is pretty sick. That's a fun fact. That's fun. Evan Bouchard, we already talked about him. We already had this card, so we'll move on. Evan Bouchard, no shame, but we're already 55 minutes in. We have this card and 2 more packs left, and we are done. So Marty Necas just signed a 2-year contract. There was debates on whether Carolina was going to extend trade Jarvis, trade Necas. I guess Winnipeg really went hard after Necas. They really wanted him. I guess St. Louis Blues did as well. I think Columbus might have as well. But they just weren't getting what they wanted for him. And so they ended up signing him to a 2-year deal. And they ended up, instead of trading Jarvis, they signed him to an 8-year deal, which actually defers money to a 9th year. For me, a signing bonus, it's like $400,000 times 8. So he ends up getting an extra like $3.6 million in the 9th year as deferred cash to lower the cap hit from 7.9 per year to 7.4 per year ish, somewhere around there. So they save $500,000 per year so they can sign all the players and give them enough money. So that's like a cool, fun fact for that. Less on Marty Necas, more on Jarvis. But again, we talked about some trade stuff with him. One of the most epic ones, again, another one. This one's less cool than the other one, but it is a Sidney Crosby card, and it is not holograph. It's the movement card. Where's that one? So let's see if it moves a little bit. It's hard to tell. It's right here. And you can't really tell. It's very slight, I'll be honest. But this is actually the retrospective card. It is actually from him when he scored his 1500th point. And I remember watching this game because it was against the Detroit Red Wings. I watched this and I was bummed. And I remember saying to my wife when watching this, I said, of course he did it against the Wings. But good for him. This is in 2023. This is when they were trying to go to the they were not trying to go playoffs at that point, but they were still not great. They were starting to build. This is a fun one that I got was Connor Bedard. So Connor Bedard, again, we talked about Kershaw being a 2C. Connor Bedard's new 1C. And their new captain being Nick Foligno. I think Nick Foligno signed a 2-year deal. I think it's like $4 million or $4.5 million per year. I think it's just to help guide Connor Bedard into eventually being the captain. So you have Nick Foligno there so he can teach and he can show how to be a leader and everything. And Connor Bedard will eventually, in my opinion, take over the mantle as captain. I don't think he's assistant captain right now. I think he'll be assistant captain maybe next year and then take over the captaincy. That's my opinion. And of course, in my opinion, I think I'm right. Back and this one's giving WHL stats. In 134 games, he had 271 points. He has over 2 points per game. Which is crazy. He had 100 points in 62 games for one season, 143 points in 57 games. That ends up being about 2.5 points per game in that third season, which is crazy with Regina Pats. So, but Connor Bedard, if you didn't watch my last video, one of the guys that jumped on, his name's James. His name's Jimbo on the stream. He said that Connor Bedard will not be better than a 70-point guy. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think he's going to be practically 100 points for the rest of his life. Minimum point per game, pretty much. So that's my opinion. Then we have Gino Evgeny Malkin. Of course, we picked up a Crosby. We picked up a Letang. We picked up a Malkin. So the 3 guys that won 3 cups with the – oh, no, Letang won 2 cups. He's got 3 cups. Letang, maybe Letang has 3. I can't remember. And then we also have Erik Karlsson. So we had a lot of Penguins. A lot of current Penguins. According to this, up to the 22-23 season, after 17 seasons, he has 1,229 points in 1,063 games. So he's like a 1.2 points per game kind of player. That's just crazy. And I guess since we're playing Toronto Maple Leafs, he scores like guaranteed, I think it's like 62 points over 50 games, something like that. So similar to his production against the whole league. It's just crazy, honestly. I love that. So then we got I think we talked about this before. I don't know if we talked about this before. I don't think we got this one before. But we got Connor freaking McDavid, best player. We did because I said, what do you need to know? He's the best player in the league. There's not much to know, right? And then we got 2 more left. We're almost done here. We got an event of getting Malkin. Another one, same card. So, but the last one, again, wrapping up to the coolest story that I've told on this whole stream, is of course about a certain player in the draft that we talked about that I attended. No, I didn't attend the draft. I attended the watching of the draft at Detroit, and I got to watch him be drafted and be right about it. And this is Arizona Coyotes, Logan Cooley, who had a sick goal out in Australia when he scored up to this card in his one NCAA season. He had 60 points in 39 games. Crazy, good center. And that was fun. That was fun, lighthearted, easy, couple fun facts and everything. But I hope you had fun. Let me know what your thoughts are. Hit like, subscribe, leave your favorite emoji, and appreciate it. And love you. Bye.